Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to offer you a simple challenge, not complicated, not overwhelming, just one thing. But if you do this for the next 90 days, I believe it will change your life. Now, before I tell you what it is, let me explain why it matters. You see, most people overestimate what they can achieve in a day, but underestimate what they can achieve in 90 days of consistent 90 days. It's not just time passing on a calendar. That's a season of transformation. So here's the challenge. For the next 90 days, commit to one small intentional act every day that aligns with your purpose. Consistency is often underestimated in the pursuit of meaningful goals, yet it is the silent force behind every transformation. When you look at people who have achieved remarkable success, whether in their careers, personal lives, or health, you'll notice a common thread running through their story. It's not just talent, not just opportunity, but a relentless commitment to daily purposeful action. The magic of the next 90 days lies in understanding this simple but profound truth. Transformation does not come in sudden bursts or rare moments of brilliance. It comes quietly, almost imperceptibly, through small choices repeated over time. When you commit to doing something consistently, even if it feels small or insignificant in the moment, you are planting seeds of change. These seeds may not sprout overnight, and you might not see immediate results. This is where most people falter. They mistake slow progress for no progress. But if you stay the course, if you trust the process, those tiny seeds begin to take root beneath the surface. They gather strength, drawing from your persistence until one day they break through and become visible. This is how real, lasting change unfolds, not through sporadic bursts of effort, but through steady, consistent dedication. The beauty of a 90-day commitment is that it creates a structure for momentum to build. Human beings thrive on rhythm. When you repeat an action consistently, it becomes part of your routine, almost like second nature. What initially feels like effort eventually becomes automatic, and it's in this automation that power resides. No longer do you have to wrestle with motivation each day because your actions are no longer decisions to be made, but habits to be lived. The mental burden lifts and your energy shifts from starting to sustaining, from hesitation to execution. Consider how this plays out in any area of life. If you dedicate yourself to learning a new skill for even just 30 minutes a day over 90 days, you will accumulate over 45 hours of practice. That is not trivial. That is mastery in the making. If you choose to nourish your relationships by sending one thoughtful message or making one meaningful connection each day, in 90 days, you will have built bridges with 90 people. Imagine the richness that brings to your personal and professional life. If you decide to take small steps toward better health, perhaps walking a little farther, drinking more water, choosing healthier meals, over 90 days, you will have laid the foundation for a healthier, more energetic version of yourself. What makes consistency so powerful is its ability to multiply results over time. Each day of effort builds upon the last. It's like stacking bricks to build a wall. One brick alone does not offer much protection or structure, but layer by layer, that wall becomes strong, resilient, and able to withstand challenge. This compounding effect is why consistency outpaces intensity. A single day of extreme effort cannot compare to steady, manageable actions performed daily over weeks and months. Consistency allows you to pace yourself, to avoid burnout, and to create sustainable progress. There's also an internal shift that happens when you remain consistent. You begin to see yourself differently. You build trust in your own word. Every day you follow through on your commitment, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, disciplined, and determined. This self-trust becomes fuel for further action. Success, then, is not just about the external results you achieve, but about the internal transformation you undergo in the process. You stop waiting for external validation because you already feel the quiet pride of knowing you are honoring your commitment. While others may wait for the perfect moment or a burst of motivation, you move steadily forward, knowing that the path to greatness is paved with ordinary days filled with extraordinary consistency. You are no longer dependent on feeling inspired because you understand that inspiration follows action, not the other way around. The next 90 days become a canvas on which you paint your growth, one brush stroke at a time, knowing that even the smallest strokes contribute to the masterpiece you are creating. When pursuing meaningful goals, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the magnitude of what lies ahead. People often fall into the trap of thinking they need to do everything at once to make real progress. They believe success demands monumental efforts, sweeping changes, or juggling multiple priorities simultaneously. But the truth is far simpler and far more manageable. Focusing on one meaningful action each day that aligns with your purpose is not just practical, it is powerful. This singular focus clears the noise, sharpens your direction, and builds momentum in a way that scattered efforts never can. Every day, life presents 1,000 distractions, pulling attention in multiple directions. Without clarity, it becomes easy to spread yourself too thin, to do many things halfway rather than doing one thing with full intention. When you choose one purposeful action daily, you give yourself permission to concentrate your energy where it matters most. You no longer dilute your efforts across too many tasks. Instead, you direct your focus like a laser towards something that brings you closer to your vision. This builds a habit of alignment between your actions and your ambition, ensuring that even in the busiest seasons of life, you are still moving forward meaningfully. There is a certain strength in simplicity. When you strip away complexity and commit to one deliberate step a day, you reduce the mental burden of decision-making. Each morning, you don't have to wrestle with endless choices about where to begin. You simply ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do today that serves my purpose? This clarity of intention removes hesitation and creates space for momentum to grow naturally. Progress becomes a daily rhythm rather than a sporadic effort. And over time, the accumulation of these small wins creates undeniable results. Purpose-driven actions are different from random busy. Busyness feels like movement, but often leads to exhaustion without achievement. Purposeful action, on the other hand, is intentional and direct. It does not have to be grand or dramatic to be effective. Sometimes it's as simple as writing a single page, making a meaningful phone call, learning one new concept, or reflecting deeply on a lesson from the day. The size of the action matters less than its alignment with your larger goal. What makes it powerful is its connection to your purpose, that inner compass guiding you toward the life you envision. This approach also cultivates resilience. On difficult days when motivation feels low or circumstances become challenging, committing to just one action feels manageable. It prevents you from falling into the all or nothing mindset that derails so many journeys. Even if the day is filled with unexpected obstacles, you can still anchor yourself by doing that one meaningful thing. This consistency keeps your momentum alive, ensuring that no day is wasted and no effort is in vain. Progress continues even when conditions are less than ideal. Focusing on one purposeful action each day builds confidence. With every step completed, you create a trail of evidence that you are capable of moving toward your goals. This growing confidence becomes fuel for future acts. Success starts to feel less like a distant dream and more like a natural outcome of your daily choices. You begin to trust the process, seeing firsthand how small intentional efforts compound over time into significant progress. There is also a deeper, more personal benefit. By focusing daily on actions that align with your purpose, you stay connected to your why. You continually remind yourself of the reason behind your efforts, which reinforces your motivation and keeps your vision alive. Purpose is not something you discover once and forget. It needs to be nurtured daily. And this practice of deliberate action keeps the flame burning bright even when challenges arise. When you consistently choose one meaningful action each day, you transform not only your results, but also your mindset. You shift from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered. You stop being paralyzed by the magnitude of your ambitions and start making steady, deliberate progress toward. Over time, these single actions accumulate into meaningful milestones, turning distant goals into tangible achievements. And through this simple yet profound approach, you create a life of purpose, direction, and forward motion, one day at a time. Leadership is often viewed through the lens of influence over others, guiding teams, inspiring movements, or steering organizations towards success. Yet, at its very core, leadership begins much closer to home. It starts with the ability to lead oneself, with discipline and intentionality. Before you can effectively lead others, you must first master the art of self-leadership. This is not about control for the sake of control, but about creating personal alignment between values, decisions, and acts. Self-leadership is the quiet strength that sets the tone for how you show up in every aspect of your life, and it lays the groundwork for the impact you will have on others. Self-leadership requires honesty, especially in moments when no one is watching. It is easy to perform well when accountability comes from external sources, such as deadlines, supervisors, or peers. But true leadership shows itself in private moments when choices rest solely on your shoulders. It is in these moments that discipline becomes your greatest ally. Discipline bridges the gap between intention and action, ensuring that what you say you want aligns with what you actually do. It transforms good intentions into consistent behaviors and prevents the drift that comes when motivation fluctuates. A person who practices self-leadership understands that discipline is not a restriction, but a form of freedom. By choosing daily habits and commitments that reflect their goals, they free themselves from the chaos of indecision and the tyranny of short-term impulse. Instead of being swayed by fleeting emotions or temporary circumstances, they stay anchored to their deeper purpose. This creates a steady, reliable foundation, allowing them to navigate challenges with clarity and composure. When disruptions arise, as they inevitably will, they do not react impulsively, but respond thoughtfully, guided by the internal compass they have carefully developed. Leading oneself also means taking responsibility for personal growth. Leaders do not wait for opportunities to appear, they actively prepare for them. They invest in learning, seek feedback, and remain open to improvement. Self-leadership means recognizing that growth is not a destination, but a continuous journey. It requires humility to admit where you need to improve and courage to take steps toward that improvement daily. By cultivating this mindset, you not only elevate your own potential, but also set a powerful example for those around you. Another crucial aspect of self-leadership is emotional regulation. Emotions are natural and inevitable, but how you manage them determines the quality of your leadership. When you lead yourself well, you do not allow frustration, fear, or doubt to dictate your decisions. Instead, you acknowledge these feelings without letting them take control. You practice self-awareness, recognizing triggers and patterns, and you choose responses that align with your values rather than your immediate emotion. This emotional maturity enhances your ability to lead others because people naturally trust leaders who display calm and steady behavior, especially in turbulent times. Integrity is also born from self-leadership. Living in alignment with your values, even when it is inconvenient or challenging, builds personal integrity. When your actions consistently match your words, you cultivate self-respect and earn the respect of others. Integrity is not just about avoiding wrongdoing. It is about actively doing what is right, especially when the easier path might be to cut corners or compromise. The trust you build with yourself through integrity becomes the foundation for the trust others place in you as a leader. Self-leadership strengthens resilience. Life will present obstacles, delays, and setbacks. Without self-leadership, these challenges can easily derail progress. But when you lead yourself with discipline, You develop the grit to persevere through difficulty. You view setbacks not as reasons to quit, but as opportunities to adapt and grow stronger. This resilience is contagious. People are drawn to leaders who remain steadfast in adversity because it gives them hope and stability in uncertain times. How you lead yourself defines how you lead others. Your ability to inspire, influence, and uplift those around you is directly tied to the standards you set for yourself. When you consistently choose discipline over convenience, growth over comfort, and integrity over shortcuts, you become a living example of the principles you wish to see in the world. Self-leadership is not just preparation for leading others, it is the very essence of leadership itself. Through the practice of leading yourself well, you build a life of purpose, impact, and enduring influence. One of the most powerful forces that shape human behavior is the environment we choose to immerse ourselves in every day. Surroundings are not neutral. They either nurture growth or quietly erode it over time. The people you allow into your life, the conversations you entertain, and the energy that fills your daily space play a pivotal role in determining how far you will go and how resilient you will remain. If you are serious about transformation over the next 90 days, you must become intentional about crafting an environment that fuels your purpose and accelerates your progress. People often underestimate how deeply their environment influences their mindset, choices, and ultimately their destiny. Spend enough time with people who doubt possibilities, and you will find your own ambitions quietly shrinking. Absorb daily conversations laced with negativity, and optimism starts to fade. Stay in spaces where mediocrity is the standard, and you will feel the pull to conform. This influence happens subtly, almost invisibly, until one day you wake up and realize you've drifted far from the person you aspired to become. That is why it is essential to actively design your environment rather than passively accepting it. An empowering environment begins with the people you associate with. Relationships should act as mirrors and windows. Mirrors that reflect your highest potential back, and windows that show you broader horizons you might not have seen on your own. Seek out those who challenge you to grow, who believe in your dreams even when you feel uncertain, and who hold you accountable to your values and goals. These people become the wind at your back, propelling you forward when your own strength feels depleted. They do not let you settle for less than you are capable of, and their belief in you fuels your belief in yourself. Creating a growth-oriented environment also means curating what you consume mentally and emotionally. Books, podcasts, videos, and even social media feeds are a part of your daily atmosphere. What you feed your mind determines the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts shapes the direction of your life. If you want to rise to new heights, you must consistently fill your mind with insights, encouragement, and strategies that elevate your thinking. Passive consumption of noise and negativity drains energy, but intentional learning enriches it, making you stronger and more equipped to tackle your goal. Physical spaces matter too. The environment is not limited to people and content. It includes the literal spaces where you spend your time. Cluttered, chaotic spaces often lead to cluttered, chaotic thought. Design spaces that inspire clarity and focus. Whether it's your workspace, your home, or even the routes you take during daily routines, small changes can create significant shifts in your mental clarity. Light, order, and simplicity in your environment signal to your brain that you are in control and that this is a place where meaningful work happens. Energy is another subtle yet critical element of your environment. Every place and every person carries an energy, and you either absorb it or repel it. High energy environments filled with enthusiasm, purpose, and positivity tend to lift people up. Low energy spaces steeped in cynicism, stagnation, or bitterness drain even the most motivated individual. Become sensitive to the energy around you. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions or time spent in certain places. If you notice patterns of depletion, take proactive steps to shift those dynamics or remove yourself when necessary. Being intentional about your environment also means setting boundaries. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table of influence. Sometimes growth requires making difficult choices about who you allow to speak into your life. Protect your energy and your vision fiercely. This is not about arrogance or isolation, but about stewardship of your potential. When you guard your environment, you guard your future. You create the space necessary for your best self to emerge, flourish, and lead with clarity. The environment you create becomes the silent architect of your habits and mindset. Over the course of 90 days, even small shifts in your environment compound into significant transformation. You will notice your thoughts becoming more optimistic, your decisions more aligned with your goals, and your actions more consistent with your purpose. By curating an environment that supports your growth, you ensure that every day, consciously or not, you are being nudged closer to the future you desire. Progress is never the result of one giant leap, but rather the accumulation of countless small steps taken consistently over time. The human tendency is to overestimate what can be achieved in a short burst of effort, while underestimating the extraordinary power of steady, daily act. This is why focusing on small daily wins becomes a game changer in the pursuit of any meaningful goal. It is not the grand gestures that sustain momentum, but the quiet, repetitive actions performed faithfully, even when they seem insignificant in the moment. These small victories build confidence, create positive momentum, and gradually construct the life you envision. Every day presents opportunities to make choices that align with your bigger purpose. These choices often seem trivial: waking up a little earlier, reading a few pages of an empowering book, choosing a healthy meal over a convenient option, taking 10 minutes to reflect, or making that single phone call you've been postponing. None of these actions will transform your life overnight, but when they are compounded daily, they weave together a fabric of discipline and progress that eventually becomes unbreakable. The beauty of small wins lies in their accessibility. No matter where you are in your journey, you can achieve something positive today that moves you a step forward. Psychologically, small wins are powerful because they create a feedback loop of success. Each time you complete a small, meaningful task, you experience a sense of accomplishment. This feeling triggers the release of dopamine, the brain's natural reward chemical, which reinforces the behavior and motivates you to continue. Over time, this pattern rewires your brain to associate progress with positive emotion, making consistency more natural and sustainable. Rather than chasing massive, sporadic bursts of progress, you become conditioned to find satisfaction in daily achievements, keeping your motivation alive and well. Focusing on small daily wins also helps to combat the paralysis that often comes with pursuing big goals. Large ambitions can feel overwhelming when viewed in their entirety. The distance between where you are and where you want to be can seem so vast that it tempts you to procrastinate or give up altogether. But when you break down the journey into manageable pieces, you shrink the psychological distance between intention and action. Suddenly, the impossible becomes possible because you are no longer trying to conquer the mountain in one day. You are simply taking the next faithful step and then the next until the summit is within reach. Another benefit of focusing on daily wins is that it builds resilience. Life inevitably throws obstacles in your path, and circumstances will not always go as planned. When you have cultivated the habit of small daily progress, you are less likely to be derailed by setbacks. Even on difficult days, you can still claim a victory, however modest it may be. That small act of progress keeps your momentum alive and preserves your sense of agency. Rather than feeling like a victim of circumstances, you remain an active participant in your journey, capable of creating forward movement no matter the challenge. Small daily wins also promote clarity and focus. When you know that your goal is not to achieve perfection in a single day, but to make steady, incremental progress, you free yourself from the pressure of unrealistic expectation. You become more present, more engaged with the task at hand. This presence enhances the quality of your work and deepens your connection to the process. You start to appreciate the journey itself, finding meaning and growth in each step, rather than postponing fulfillment until some distant future milestone. Celebrating small wins nurtures gratitude and positive reflection. Too often, people rush past their progress, fixated only on what remains to be done. But when you pause to acknowledge daily victories, you create a rhythm of appreciation that fuels further act. Gratitude for small achievements magnifies your sense of purpose and keeps your spirit energized, even through the inevitable valleys of the journey. It reminds you that progress is being made, that you are not stagnant, and that every day counts. Practice of focusing on small daily wins cultivates patience, builds momentum, and keeps you grounded in action rather than trapped in endless planning or wishful thinking. It transforms overwhelming ambitions into manageable paths, empowers you to maintain consistency through challenges, and ultimately shapes the foundation for lasting success. Through this approach, you learn to trust the process, celebrate progress, and stay committed to your goals, one day and one step at a time. Growth is a challenging journey, often requiring more courage than comfort. The road to achieving something worthwhile is rarely smooth or easy, and it requires a willingness to embrace discomfort. Too often, people fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment when they feel ready, when all the stars align, or when everything feels just right. But the truth is that progress seldom comes from comfort zones. It emerges from the courage to step forward even when conditions are less than ideal, and to persist even when results aren't immediately visible. The first obstacle to growth is the resistance to discomfort. Change inherently disrupts the status quo, and human nature tends to avoid discomfort when possible. It feels easier to stay in the familiar, to continue what's comfortable, even if it means remaining stagnant. This is the natural inclination, but it's also the path that keeps many people stuck. Growth requires making the uncomfortable decision to step outside of what feels safe, to take risks, and to challenge the boundaries of what you think is possible. It's about moving forward despite the uncertainty, fear, and doubt that inevitably arise. Choosing progress over comfort means leaning into discomfort and pushing through the discomfort. It's not about avoiding challenges or waiting for perfect conditions. Instead, it's about recognizing that discomfort is a sign of growth. Every time you face a challenge, feel anxious about a new task, or step into the unknown, you are building resilience and strength. When you choose to act in the face of discomfort, you teach yourself that growth is a process, not an event. You build the mental and emotional muscles needed to continue moving forward, even when progress feels slow or uncertain. The discomfort you experience along the way also serves as a teacher. It pushes you to learn, adapt, and innovate in ways that would be impossible without it. If everything were easy, you would never have the opportunity to develop problem-solving skills, resilience, or the grit needed to stay committed. It's through overcoming obstacles that you unlock the greatest lessons and learn the most about yourself. These lessons become stepping stones to future success, enabling you to tackle even bigger challenges down the road. Choosing growth over comfort also requires a shift in perspective. It's about reframing how you view discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to be avoided, you begin to see it as an integral part of the growth process. It's like a weightlifter who must feel the strain of lifting heavier weights in order to get stronger. The discomfort of the lift is not something to fear, but something to embrace, because it's a signal that you are pushing your limits and getting closer to your goal. Similarly, in personal growth, Discomfort is a signpost indicating that you are on the right track, that you are doing the hard work that will pay off in the long run. The willingness to embrace discomfort also opens the door to greater opportunities. People who are willing to take risks and face challenges are the ones who break through the barriers that hold most others back. While many are hesitant to leave their comfort zones, those who do are the ones who open themselves up to new experiences, new ideas, and new possibilities. They may fail at times, but failure is never the end. It's a necessary part of the learning process. It teaches you what doesn't work, refines your approach, and helps you grow in ways that success alone cannot. Patience is also a key part of this journey. Growth doesn't always manifest overnight, and it's easy to become discouraged when immediate results don't appear. But growth is cumulative, and the seeds you plant today may not bear fruit for weeks, months, or even years. The key is to remain committed to the process, trusting that every action you take, no matter how small, is contributing to your development. It's in the quiet, uncelebrated moments of pushing through discomfort that the real progress is made. The key is to keep moving even when you can't yet see the full picture. Growth requires a mindset that prioritizes progress over comfort. It's a decision to trust the process, to embrace discomfort, and to keep moving forward even when the way isn't clear. It's about understanding that growth is not an easy path, but a necessary one for achieving something truly meaningful. Those who choose progress over comfort are the ones who look back at their journeys and realize that every moment of discomfort was an investment in their future success. They recognize that the discomfort was never the obstacle, it was the doorway to the life they were meant to live.